The wonders of life got the prettiest side for everyone to enjoy. Standing up close by the Christmas tree, glimmering light, I am right where I wanna be. I will be home for a couple of days, wander around with you. You and me in the cold, thought it never be.
Welcome to this week's Ask Charlie. I get so many questions about how to cook a turkey. I thought I would show you exactly how I cook one and what I do with it and talk you through the entire process from start to finish. Many people get overwhelmed about cooking a turkey at Christmas, and I want you to think of it as a chicken. It's just bigger and therefore needs more cooking time. They are expensive if you buy them from the butchers and you buy, sort of organic, free range ones, which I do recommend you doing. It costs a lot, but actually a turkey can go a really long way. I turn it into turkey and ham pie, I turn it into a curry, I do all sorts of things with it, and we love actually having a turkey sandwich on Boxing Day. Delicious. So this turkey is 5.5 kilos. My butcher sweetly delivered it. He didn't deliver the giblets, which I was a little bit upset about because that's what I use to make my gravy, but it's fine. I will show you another way of doing it. He has cut out the wishbone for me, which I asked him to do. And it's something that you can do yourself, but if you want to ask your butcher, do. It makes carving the bird, when you come to carving it and serving it, so much easier. So that's a good thing to do. If you want to snap the wishbone and make a wish, which we do, you can just cook it separately and then do that. So I have got my turkey here, and I just need to grab my kitchen scissors because I'm going to cut the string that is holding it together. I'm just going to snip it there, and I want to take all of that off. Now, I have got little Lola down here who is keeping a beady eye on what's going on. But if I put her anywhere else, she's going to make too much of a racket. So I thought it was best just to leave her here. Now, stuffing birds is quite controversial. Do we stuff it? Don't we stuff it? If I do stuff it, I just stuff the neck here. I don't want to overstuff because you want the air to be able to flow around your bird. I mean, look, there's a big cavity in there. And you can just put a little bit of stuffing in here. Don't overstuff it. I'm not going to stuff it at all today because I prefer to do my stuffing separately. Now, I have got here on this chopping board, well, first of all, I've got a big AGA tray lined with Bako Glide. It's also known as Magic Liner from Lakeland. I've got some carrots that I have just chopped up sort of that way. And I'm going to place these, I've got some celery too. I'm going to place these down in my tray. And, it doesn't matter. You can sort of throw them in any which way. I'm making a little bit of a pattern here, but it honestly doesn't matter. Just put them in like so. And then I'm going to place my bird on top. She is heavy. Now, actually, talking about birds, hen turkeys tend to have more flavour than the male ones. However, the male ones are the big ones. So if you're cooking for lots of people, then you won't have a choice. It will probably have to be a male turkey. But if you do have the option, go for a hen because they have more flavour, and obviously that's what we want. Now, some people lift up the skin here. I will show you, and separate that and put butter in underneath there, which you absolutely can do. But I've done it different ways. I found you don't actually need to do that. I am just going to put some softened butter I'm going to smear it over the top of my turkey. You can just use it with your, smear it on with your hand, but I'm just using a piece of kitchen paper to do it. And just smear, a generous amount of butter over your turkey. Now, if you are using an AGA, try and keep your AGA lids down as much as possible. Make sure that your AGA is well up to temperature. Have it serviced, in November. Bit late now if you haven't, but make sure that that AGA is nice and hot and well up to temperature. It's really important. Let's just put that to one side, and then I've got sea salt here, and I'm just going to season the top and the legs of my bird. Now, I also didn't say at the beginning to take your turkey out of the fridge and let it warm up before you pop it into the oven. It doesn't need to be room temperature, but get it out at a good 40 minutes to an hour before you start cooking it, before you want to start putting it in the oven. Make sure that it's not straight from the fridge. That is terribly, terribly important. I'm going to put a little bit of black pepper on as well, but totally optional. It's personal preference. Then my baking grout has just slid slightly, but they're ready to go in like that. So it just takes, honestly, moments to prepare. Now, I have moved my rack down in my AGA in the roasting oven. I've moved it down to the bottom. I don't want to put the bottom of the tray straight onto the floor of the AGA. I'll bring you up close so you can see exactly what I mean. I want it to be raised up slightly, but again, I don't want the bird too high in the oven. And I'm going to put it in my roasting oven for 40 minutes. So this is a 5.5 kilo bird. If you have got a smaller turkey, then 30 minutes in the roasting oven would be absolutely fine. If you've got a bigger one, then 45 to 50 minutes in the roasting oven, and then I drop it down into the baking oven. So you can see that my rack is just placed on the bottom, and I am going to slide my turkey in uncovered, no tin foil. In there for 40 minutes. Alexa, set the timer for 40 minutes, please.
40 minutes, starting now.
So no tin foil at this stage, because I really want to get as much heat to start the cooking process as possible. I will put tin foil on later on, but for now I want I want the heat in, and the tin foil will stop that and sort of slow that down. And I want that skin to crisp up a bit as well to start with. So Alexa has just gone off. My turkey has had 40 minutes and time to get it out and have a look. So you've also got to remember that they're pretty heavy, and so if you've got somebody to help, it's a good idea. Now, we can give it a little baste actually now before I put the tin foil on. So in order to do that, I'm just going to turn it that way and hold my tray up. Juices are going down into that corner. Now, this turkey is slightly lopsided, but that doesn't matter. It will even out. But the skin on this side closer to me is a little bit crispier, but that is fine. So you can use all sorts of gadgets for basting, but you don't need them. A spoon and a steady hand works just as well. Now, some people say to baste every 30 minutes, but I think that's overkill, and actually you don't want to be opening your oven door, I think, that frequently. and uncovering it. So it's had a baste. I've now got some tin foil and I'm just going to loosely cover it. Like that. Now, if you're using an electric oven, you just want to, at this stage, turn the oven down when you get it out after it's had its first cook at a high heat. Because I'm using my AGA, going to put it into my baking oven, and I want to make sure that the rack is in the right place. I haven't done that yet, so I'm just going to move that. It is in the right place. I also have Lola to negotiate down here. Lola, out of the way. I'm going to leave mine now in the baking oven for 1 hour and 30 minutes, basting approximately every hour. You don't need to be, to the clock, but, approximately that. Just keep an eye on the time. If you have got an electric oven, it's about 170 degrees centigrade, the slightly lower temperature, and the higher temperature, somewhere between 200 and 220. Obviously with AGAs, it's approximate, but I would probably go in at 220 just to start with. You want to get it really hot to begin with and then drop the temperature down. And if you're not cooking it at a really high heat the whole time, it is more moist and succulent. If it's cooked at a really high heat, that's when the bird will dry out, and that's when you're likely to get sort of dry turkey, which we're trying to avoid. Time to baste the turkey. Tin foil off. It's looking so good. So it's had 1 hour and a bit, and you can see all of these juices here, which actually I'm going to take some of them off now. Let's just get that over. Like so. Now a large pudding basin. Ideally it's good to have an extra pair of hands to do this. This could get a little bit messy. I'm not going to pour all the juices off, but I'm going to get some of them off now. And all I do is pour carefully in to my pudding basin. There is a lot more, which I'm going to try, let's go that way, and just pour the juices off. I'm going to leave a little bit in my pan, but I'm going to use this for my gravy. Right, that is enough. So tin foil back on loosely. I'm just going to push the turkey slightly back into the oven tray and then pop it back in to the AGA like that. Now, I don't think you could see, I was wrestling with a Labrador puppy. So those of you that don't know, this is our newest member to the family, little Lola. You're going to think we're crackers, penny puppies and Lola. But Simon has been talking about having a Labrador puppy for a couple of years, and the opportunity came up to get Lola. And slightly crackers, we will have 6 dogs, but Bonnie, Simon's Labrador, will be retiring. She's a working dog, and so she's wonderful at picking up, and Lola will be waiting in the wings. So welcome little Lola. She's very sweet, quite lively and terribly noisy, but we are really enjoying having her. Right, down you go. I must wash my hands and carry on. When you've poured the juices off, you need to let them sit for a while, just to let the fat separate. And you don't need to let it sit for too long. It separates quite quickly, but you need to let it sit for a moment or two. And just try and get as much of the fat off as you possibly can. And then I'm going to use those juices in my gravy. Okay, so for another basting, just the same as I did before, but I'm not going to take any of the juices off this time. I'm just going to pour them over like so. So literally like that, and then back into my AGA. My turkey has now been in the baking oven, so at the lower temperature, for 3.5 hours. So it is time to take her out. I'm not sure why I'm referring to her as a her, but anyway, a her she is. Foil off. And at this stage, I'm going to pour more of the juices off as best I possibly can. So I'm now going to put my turkey back into the AGA, but into the roasting oven for the final 30 minutes of cooking, uncovered. So I'm leaving my tin foil to one side, and I will use that when I let the turkey rest. So in she goes. So it's just increasing the temperature just for the last remainder of the cooking time, and that is separating nicely. In fact, there's not too much fat in that part, but I will just scoop that off and add it in to here. When you put your turkey back into the roasting oven of the AGA, or you increase the temperature in your oven, you know that you have got an hour, approximately an hour, till you're eating. So the 30 minutes of cooking and then 30 minutes of resting. Alexa, stop. So you want to make sure that your plates are warming, your veg is under control. This kind of last hour is busy kind of prep time, and just getting everything organised, making sure that you've got everything, have a checklist and just kind of run through it. Make sure that you've got serving dishes and all of those things warming. I mean, I love having my AGA. I'm about to put my plates and my dishes on the AGA ready. So they're warming. You don't want to carve onto a cold plate. So have it warming. Have your gravy boat ready and warming, and just get as organised as you possibly can in this last hour. I've got my stuffing in a separate dish. This is a cranberry and chestnut stuffing, and it will only take about 30 minutes in the AGA, so it doesn't matter if I do it, you know, slightly earlier or slightly later. I can keep it warm, but I just find it easier than actually stuffing the bird itself. If you're cooking bacon and chipolatas, then put them around the turkey before you put it into the roasting oven of your AGA, before you increase the temperature in your oven. Just put them around for the last 30 minutes of cooking. So my turkey has had almost 30 minutes in the roasting oven, and it is time to get out and rest. So here goes. She is sizzling and looking fantastic. Now I am just going to try and get juices from inside out. Sizzling. I'm going to just let it calm down for a minute. Now, two methods to see whether your turkey is cooked through. You can put a skewer in, and if the juices run clean and there's no blood in it, then you know that it's cooked through. But I actually prefer to use a digital probe, and so I'm just going to insert that in, well in, press the button, and we want it, I mean this one's quite clever because it actually tells me the temperatures I want, so I don't need to look it up. 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is actually 195. So I know that the core temperature inside is it's cooked. So that is excellent news. I'm now going to put my turkey onto a chopping board to let it rest on there, because I'm going to make my gravy in this roasting pan. So the trick is to get this out, and I don't have Sigh around at the moment. He will be back soon. I'm going to attempt to do this on my own. So I've got 2 carving forks, which I'm just going to put in. I'm going to lift the bird up and just slide it on to there, like so. Now you can see that I've got my vegetables in here. And one of the reasons why I put the veg in the bottom is to lift the turkey off the base of the roasting tin. But also these veg are going to flavour the gravy too, which is excellent. Now the first thing I am going to do is just pour all of that into my bowl, which I've got here. And then I'll just take off any excess fat. Like that. I'm going to cover my turkey in foil and wrap her up as much as possible. Just leave her there, and I'm going to show you how we make our gravy. I've taken off as much of the fat as I possibly can from the juices that have come out while I've been cooking the turkey. I'm not going to add them all in because there's quite a lot in this bowl. I'm probably going to add 2/3 and just save that because that's wonderful, wonderful stock. I've got my carrots that have been steaming here, and I am going to strain the water into a measuring jug. Because that vegetable water I am going to use. Put my carrots over to one side. They are done. Close that down. Move those over here. Lift that up and pop my roasting tin there, like that. I'm going to add in a few whole cloves because it's Christmas and why not. You can add in cranberry sauce, you can add in port, really, you know, whatever takes your fancy. I'm going to put a little bit of white wine. I don't want it to be overpowered by the wine, but just a little splash. And then add in some of my vegetable water as well. Now I find it's actually quite easy to make your gravy on the day when I'm doing Sunday roast. This is exactly how I do it. But if you want to save a job, then do it in advance and use those giblets, and it works, you know, just as well. But those lovely juices that you get from cooking your turkey, I actually really like to use. Now you can make your gravy in advance using the giblets, and I often do it with the gammon stock from cooking my gammon. Now I know, but I love Bisto, and it works really well, and it has great flavour, and it helps thicken. So rather than using flour, I just use some Bisto powder, and I just actually shake it in like this. And then I'm also going to clean my pan at the same time as making my gravy. So any of those kind of burnt on bits, you can scrape off, and they just add, and round the side of the pan too, they add wonderful flavour to your gravy. So just give it all a good scrape and sort of stir it as you go. Shaking in the Bisto like that works quite well. You don't get lumpy bits. You can mix it in cold water, but actually I find shaking it in just quicker and easier. And then I'm going to just let that heat up a bit on there. I may need to increase the heat. Just depends how hot your AGA is by this time. Now you can do your gravy like this on a gas ring or in a saucepan if you prefer, but this is the joy of having an AGA. I'm now just going to increase the heat and it will start to thicken up. It's always a good idea to taste your gravy and check that you are happy with the seasoning. You might need to add something or, you know, so just have a little taste and see what you think. That actually is really spot on. I'm not going to do anything with it. But sometimes if you taste a gravy, it might be a bit bitter. It might just need something adding to it, but actually that is absolutely perfect. So I'm now going to strain it. I've got a large saucepan and a sieve, and I'm just going to rest my sieve on top of the pan and pour this in. And then having it in a saucepan, you can easily heat it up. So if you're just, you know, waiting for a bit or have made, you know, more, it's always a good idea to make more that will fill your gravy boats. Little Penny is melted and I've heard her tottering in. She loves a Sunday roast. So just tip all of that in, empty your pan, and then yeah, you can easily just quickly pop your saucepan on the heat to warm your gravy up. There's nothing worse than cold gravy. It needs to be, you know, really hot and delicious. But look, that was so easy to do while my turkey is resting. And these vegetables I won't be throwing away. They will make a really, really lovely base of a soup or something like that. So I'm going to reserve those and use them for something else. Nothing goes to waste in this house. Our turkey is cooked. It is rested, and I've got Sigh, my expert carver, on hand to talk through how to carve it. Now, if I didn't have Simon, I would be using this, which is by AGA, and it's an electric carving knife. It is excellent. It's a wonderful bit of kit. It's got 2 blades, and it carves beautifully, and it's quite fierce. You have to be careful. But because I've got my husband here, we're going to use him.
It might be called AGA. Because actually it has an E acute on it. Back to my French lessons, but there we are.
Well done, darling. I know, I'm terrible at pronouncing things. I'm sure you're right. Penny smelt it and she's at our feet. Right, come on then, show us what to do.
Right. Yeah, sharp knife. I think we've had this conversation before. I'm just going to do a little bit of knife sharpening now. But actually I was Googling earlier about options for knife sharpening because it is absolutely key, and I don't think that one can necessarily get it.
I'm going to remove that.
The knife is sharp, just with your own
Penny
steel.
gets very excited when Sunday roast.
With your own steel as much as you can when having it done professionally. So there are mobile knife sharpening services. So look, I think everybody carves, you know, turkey in a different way. I mean, I tend to start by just cutting into that sort of leg area, just to open that up, and really generally to pull that whole piece out in one, which I will come to in a second, and then just really carving slowly from front to back. The breast, this turkey is sat for quite a nice long time, which I think always makes a big difference both to its flavour, but also to the ease of carving. She hasn't done a bad job on this actually, it looks alright to me.
Phew!
So here we go, another thin slice, the knife backwards. I always get told off for cutting too thicker slices.
I like my meat carved really, really thinly, particularly beef.
This turkey has actually had the the wishbone removed by the butcher, which apparently does make carving a little bit easier. There you go. A bit of 1 to 2 there, and there. I'm going to just do one more slice at the back here.
I think the reason why you love to carve is because you have a little nibble at the same time.
Well,
don't
that
you?
is true. That is true.
I always catch.
But as we're on the telly,
I always catch you having a
we're on the
nibble.
telly.
You're not going to do that today.
I'm not going to do that. And then
You're gonna
this,
behave.
I'm going to behave. And then this leg bone really comes out in one nice piece, and I think you can actually just put that on your serving plate like that, if you like, and then carve that. You know, some people like dark meat, some people don't. So you've got the option there of the breast meat, the white meat, and then for those that like some dark meat, which is I'm for one do, you can just carve that and share it out. We always tend to have fights in our family about that bit, actually more so than the breast.
It's so delicious. Yeah, well, darling, thank you, and I really hope that you have found this week's video, me cooking a turkey, really helpful, and it will help take the stress out of the big day for you all. Thank you for joining us. Wishing you a very happy weekend, great week ahead. Remember to subscribe, remember to give us a thumbs up, and we love your feedback, so do give us a comment. And darling, thank you
and
for
I think
joining us.
we can stick this in the freezer, bring it back out Christmas Day, and the kids won't know, nobody else will. It'll be absolutely job done.
No.
We'll be doing it again.
Yeah. Bye.
The wonders of life got the prettiest side for everyone to enjoy. Standing up close by the Christmas tree, glimmering light, I am right where I wanna be. I will be home for a couple of days, wander around with you. You and me in the cold, thought it'd never be true. Wherever I go, I got you. Oh, I have stopped running, there is no way trying.